Hi, my name is Peter, and we're here at Live Outside in Muskoka, Ontario. Today I wanted to give a little talk about fitness and paddleboarding and the kind of hull designs that you might look for if you're really looking to get the most out of the sport. There's no doubt that paddleboarding has a great physical benefit. You're doing a stroke that uses your entire body while you're also balancing on a board. And that combination of two things really is going to give you a great core workout while also enjoying the benefits of just being out on the water, that calm sensation, find that river that doesn't have a lot of traffic like we have here on the Muskoka River, and just really enjoying that benefit of exercise and solitude. So I'm going to run through what you're going to look for in a board if you want to take your paddling to the next level. Now, maybe you have a board or are shopping for a board. What is the difference between a board that you would buy for recreation and leisure paddling versus maybe something that's a little bit more oriented around efficiency and getting a fitness workout on that board? So one thing is going to be around what is a displacement hull versus a all-around or surf hull. So most of the boards that you see on the market are going to be shaped like a surfboard, which is great for multi-use. It's going to usually offer the most stability. But if you get into paddling and you want most efficiency, you're going to want a board that allows you to maximize a good stroke. And having a wide board is going to typically, while it gives you the best or the most balance, you're probably going to outgrow that board fairly soon if you want to get some exercise. So with width comes a lot of drag. So here we have just a quick assortment of our boards. We do a few lines here. We do starboard, we do red, and we do boat. These are one of the three best from these brands, the three best or highest quality boards you're going to get. And these boards, these companies that do a lot of production of boards are really some of the best in the industry, and they're making the best products, but they're also making them the best value products. So each of them will have something that is easy to get you started out, or there's that top of the line product. So we're going to start with inflatables. Inflatables are always going to be a particular shape and width and thickness. So you can't really, with the exception of one model, really shape a board. You're going to have it 6.5 inches thick or so, but you can change the shape bow to stern. The difference here, these are all displacement boards, and how the companies have decided or being able to make a board that's more efficient. We're going to start out here. If you want a board that is pretty stable, is going to have that displacement shape. So when I say displacement, I mean a pointed nose that's going to break through the water, is going to improve tracking, improve efficiency, but also provide a decent amount of stability. This board right here is the Starboard Touring. It's a 12.6 in length, so it's longer than some of the boards that you may have looked at, by 30 inches wide. So a 30-inch wide board, this is about the same width as most inflatables, but with that displacement shape is going to be more efficient. So it's going to have sharper entry angles here at the bow and a little bit sharper tail. So it's going to cut through the water with more efficiency. It does have a kick tail at the back. So if you start to learn like a pivot turn, it's going to have that additional height of that rear traction pad. But in general, it's also got a little release piece right here and a US fin box that's going to use interchangeable fins, so you can put a lower drag fin on this board, and a pretty decent drop stitch. Now, this model you can get into for $11.99. So it's right sort of in the heart of a good quality inflatable board. That's going to give you more efficiency. It's a great start to get out. But while that's a good efficient board to go out, maybe, you know, the versatility here is that you could go tripping with it, you could go longer distances, and pack some gear. We've done a bunch of like overnight trips with boards like these, and it really is an enjoyable board to be on the water. The Touring series from Starboard also goes from their Zen construction to a deluxe construction. And when you go to the deluxe single chamber, here you're going to get a higher drop stitch, which can provide a little bit more stability, but also you're going to get some more size options. So in this board, this one here is 12.6 and it's 2 inches narrower, so a 28. They call it the Touring S. Good for smaller paddlers or those looking for just a little bit sharper. So when you look and compare these two boards, you're going to see a much more slender tail section and those entry lines. Anytime you go narrower, you're going to get a board that's going to cut through the water with more efficiency. It's going to provide a little bit less stability in the board, but as we move into less stability, you will, while it might be less stable to start out with, once you get out on the water, you'll progress with that board and it'll really become very, very stable the more you go out and paddle. From there we move into the Red. So Red makes a very unique board with the Voyager. This goes into a 13.2, so 13.2 inches. This is, in my opinion, one of the best touring expedition tripping boards on the market. It's got multiple handles that makes camping with your board more efficient to portage. You have more portage friendly straps at the bow and stern, so you can load gear, but it's also a really efficient board on the water. And the latest version has, you can see, a dished deck, and they've actually, for the first time I've seen in an inflatable board, really molded some actual bow shape to this hull. So ideal board if you're going to be in a variety of different water environments. This shape of the bow, while not quite as efficient as a board that is straighter in the bow, this is going to handle chop and waves. So for somebody looking to camp, it also has a multiple, so 2 fin boxes on the back, so you can actually run 2 smaller fins, which will make paddling in shallower water sections easier. And it also has a batten system in the side to create the most amount of stability. So really your camping board, but also a great board to just have and get out for a paddle and enjoy that fitness. Now, then we go to the last sort of inflatable in our lineup is from Starboard. It is called the All-Star Airline. And this is the fastest hull in an inflatable that we've ever used. And they use a very unique technology on this board to make it super, super stiff. So instead of a batten system, they use their high drop stitch, so linear drop stitch, which makes the board really, really stiff. But also, you'll see this nose cone and a line of spectra. So this is spectra cord that runs down to the rear fin box. And as you inflate the board, you have multiple settings here to create a downturn. And you're going to see in some of the boards, when you take that pointed displacement bow and you put it in the water at the front of the board, it's cutting the water more efficiently, and it's going to result in a lot more efficient paddling board. And so as you move over, you can see boards that really are designed to cut the water. And that spectral line not only makes this board incredibly stiff, but also brings that nose down into the water and cuts through the water. Also adds a couple, because this is a little bit narrower, this board comes in a 14 foot, so you're starting to get longer and more efficient, but also comes in narrower width. So I like the 28. So the 28 inch gives you a good balance of speed and stability. And they've added these little bumpers onto the side that really allow you to plant your feet against and get more additional stability. For somebody who is just getting into this, you'll find that the 28 is a good, efficient all-rounder, but it also comes in a 26 inch and actually a 24.5. So depending on how stable you are, you will always find an inflatable where a hardboard width versus a inflatable width. An inflatable, you should be about 2 inch wider than you would typically feel comfortable with on a hardboard, and that's because the board doesn't sit. There's more volume to it. It doesn't sit in the water and have the rails in the water, or as deep in the water, so it does have a little less stability, and you're sitting a little bit higher off the surface of the water. So the lower you can get your feet to the water line, the more stable that board's going to be. And you're going to see that represented better in more of the composite boards where they're able to shape the boards. So that's the extent of our inflatable line. Then you get into composite boards. So when you get a fiberglass or carbon fiber hull, you can do a lot more with shape. And the first is the water line. So the water line from Starboard really sharpens that nose to create the maximum efficiency there, but also kind of an arrowhead goes to a fairly square stern. And this board is really great flat water board. I wouldn't say it's ideal in chop, but when it's like glass out there, this is going to be a board that both is stable, but by narrowing the bow here, you're going to create a more efficient paddle stroke. And in this video, I'm going to get out of the water and I'm going to show you what that means, because the narrower you can get into that front, your straight stroke or a stacked stroke is going to be much more comfortable. So from that water line, we start to get into the performance boards from Starboard, and these are among the fastest boards in the world right now when it comes to racing. But they're also boards that if you just, these are going to be multi-use for sort of other people at the cottage, but once you get into these, you're probably getting a board more tailored for your own use, and really ideal to maximize speed and a board tailored to you. So these come in multiple sizes and multiple widths. So, and we have the waterfront here and usually some demo models, and I also instruct here on the waterfront, so you can learn how to paddle or develop your stroke and get on boards that are narrower. And I think it's really key. A lot of people just buy that first board that they see and then get out into the sport, whereas we really believe that taking an instruction class, learning your stroke, then test paddling, you'll end up with a much narrower board than you originally thought, because you've got some skills to sort of understand what that stability you're going to get, what sort of stability you're going to get out of that board. So we have two different lineups from Starboard. One is the Sprint, which is generally a flat water board, even though it actually does handle chop very well, and the All-Star. So All-Star is all around. And it's really that open water, paddling and chop, paddling in any environment. And it's usually a racer's choice where they're on a race where they don't know what they're going to get into. If it's about fitness, I really like the Sprint as that all-around board. You can see it's got a very sharp nose. It is available in a 25.5 inch wide, 23.5, which is the most common, and also a 21.5. So for a smaller paddler or somebody who is really comfortable with the stability. Now, those may seem like much narrower than our inflatable boards over here, but what you'll see in the shape is that they're all dished down. So where you're standing on these boards is closer to that water line. You also see drain holes in the side, so if water comes up into that deck, it's going to drain out through there. So very high volume bow, sharp entry through the water, and then you're standing lower to the water line. So that makes the board or your position on the board much more efficient. Now, the last board in our sort of setup and is one of our most popular is from the Boat brand. So it's the only one we're showing here from Boat, but inspired by their racing boards that they produce in Florida, they produced an all-around enjoyable, because that's what they're about, lifestyle, but they created a really efficient board for everybody to get out on, and it's called the Traveler. And originally sort of marketed as a tripping board or a travel board. It really brings all the cool features from Boat and into a displacement board shape. So you have that slightly recessed deck. What they do is they mold a much bigger area here in the bow. You'll see that also in the water line, like a little area where you can put gear in front of you. What I really like about the Traveler is if my dog wants to come out and I still want to get an efficient board out on the water, but he wants to come with me, it gives this like area right here that he can sit, where your standing area is right here at that grab handle. So I really like that sort of feature. You also have the stash pod that allows you to put your keys or a beverage and actually rest it into the board. It will take the cooler tie downs. It does have a traction here on the stern. And then here you're going to see that downturned bow that really cuts the water. And this board is a 12.6, also comes in a 14, but by 30 or 29, so it's actually really stable. And ideal for that first timer, or to have at a cottage. You want to get out, enjoy that nice glide in the calm morning, but you also want a board that other people in the family can use, and they're going to be really comfortable just hopping on it the first time. So it's sort of that, fun cottage board. Also, it's beautiful. So Boat does excellent quality traction pads, and they just do graphics very well, and all those sort of comfort features you like in a board. Whatever board, this is our whole selection sort of for 2022. We're located right here on the Muskoka River, so if you want to try any of these boards and just really find out what displacement boards are about and why you want to choose one over a standard all-around hull or surf hull, come see us at Live Outside here on the Muskoka River at liveoutside.ca.